Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Chris Jefferson here from A State of Loud. I'm welcoming you guys back to this episode. I hope you guys are having a good time. And this week, we have a very special guest, a man that I like to call my friend. He is a father. He is a community activist. He is the founder of Kismet of Kings, which just had a 10th year anniversary and has helped over 700 youth throughout Jersey City. A former mayoral candidate for Jersey City, getting 33% of the vote with only 1% of the budget. Amazon best bookseller. I mean, the list goes on and who this man is, and it's a pleasure I get to call him friend.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lewis Spears in the building.
Oh man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Great. It's funny we're back here
I know.
doing this again.
I know.
Kind of doing an interview. I almost want to start it off the same way, but we're not doing a 5-minute conversation on fried chicken again. That was too much. That was way too much,
Right,
man.
right.
But how are you, man? How is life right now in the Lewis Spears universe?
That's a very good question. It's great. It's great, but it ebbs and flows,
Yeah.
right? And it's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of intent. There's a lot of sacrifice.
Okay.
But it's great. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Okay. So what do you got going on right now? Because last time I know we spoke. I mean, not even the last time we spoke. I mean, we've been speaking for a while since the campaign. That's how me and you met.
Right.
Originally, I remember reading your book when I first came to Jersey City, and I was like, one day I'm gonna work with this dude.
Oh,
And I
wow.
just kind of walked up, and long story
Yeah.
short, a couple years later, this is where we are.
That's crazy.
So I think right now, Kismet of Kings, right, is
Mhm.
one of the biggest achievements that you have amongst the others that you do have.
Mhm.
Where are you guys sitting at right now? What are you guys up to?
Oh man, so much. I don't think we have enough time to really talk about it.
Okay.
But before I go there, I just want to give you your flowers, man.
Oh, okay.
Because running for such a high position of the number one city, number one position for the city. There was a lot that was going on.
Oh yeah.
And I felt like when you and I connected, you were exactly who I needed at the time. So I appreciated how you were calm. You know what I mean. You were very strategic, and you were able to understand who I was and what I needed personally,
Yeah.
and at the same time, understood the movement and where we needed to move. So I'm indebted to you. I'm eternally grateful for you. So yeah, definitely give you your kudos.
I
man.
appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that, bro. Because
Absolutely.
it was a wild time, but
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
still walking in that purpose.
Right.
It still guides me. But I remember when we first started going out, bro. I remember going canvassing door to door,
That's right.
walking from house to house. I never forget,
Every
bro.
morning.
I forgot where we were. I think we were on the west side,
Mhm.
close to NJCU, and you were like, "Yo, why are you doing this?" Like out of nowhere, like you were like,
Yeah.
it was like the third down with you, not even in the Heights, and you're like, "Why are you doing this?" And I was like, "Cause I'm supposed to.
Uh-huh.
Like God sent me here. Like I got the time. I said I was gonna work with you. This is my opportunity. I'm gonna take it." And you was like, "Just like that," and I was like, "Yeah."
Mhm.
Just
I
like
remember
that, bro. Every day.
There's a quote from an Australian Aboriginal. She said, "If you're here to help me, then you can keep it moving.
Mm.
But if you're here because your liberty is wrapped up in mine, then let's do the work."
Mm.
And so I was listening to your version of that. So me asking you that question was because I needed to know that you understood that it wasn't you necessarily helping me.
Yeah.
It was because your liberty was wrapped up in this, and that we all needed to be free together.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I felt that. I knew that. You said that in so many words, and then at that point, I know I could trust you.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, it was a lot going on.
Bro, see, I'm sitting here like this man just like we gotta keep going.
Yeah,
we
we gotta
gotta
do
put
it.
these things on the door. I don't know what am I wearing today. What's for breakfast? I don't even
Right.
know. To have that level of understanding, at least towards me at that
Mhm.
part, because even on my part, I was like, "Why this dude just trusts me?"
Mhm.
Like I never forget. It wasn't in the beginning, but towards the end, I remember you left me in your house by myself,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, "Bro, you just gonna leave me here with your family
Uh-huh.
and your babysitter?" Like. He was like, "Yeah, I trust you. You gonna be here when I get back?" I'm like, "It's your house. Like, what do you?" Oh, I mean, I'm gonna leave.
Right.
Well, when are you getting back? It's yours. But
Right.
to have that level of trust and like, I guess to read a person is a major skill.
Oh, absolutely.
that most of us don't always embody in our life. We kind of make judgments externally
Hmm.
for our people. Because I'll be honest, if someone came to me like that, I don't know if I'd be so trusting.
Nah, right. So it has to start somewhere,
Yeah.
right? And so like just anytime that we were connecting, even though I'm chill, I'm paying attention to everything, right? I'm paying attention to your words, and if your
Mm.
words matches, if your words match your actions,
Mm.
that you are a man of integrity. You have great character, and so I felt that you were able that we could do anything together because
Sheesh.
you reminded me of me.
Oh, okay. Tell me more
Tell me
about
about
us. Tell me more about us.
Nah,
What are we
nah.
doing?
No, and so when I think about like my most prized possession, my children, my wife, to leave you in the house with them, that meant so much to me that I could trust somebody like you. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Trust you to be in that space. So yeah, man, that goes without saying.
Absolutely, man. I definitely still
Not
appreciate
everybody could
that,
do
bro. No,
that.
seriously, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
definitely understand coming from a place where like the woman I'm with having two children and
Hmm.
me taking them on as well is just you
That's a beautiful
when you
thing.
have thank you when you have big shout out to her
Right.
when you have children involved and you love and you care for them, there's a level of trust you have to have for someone to be around them because
Hmm.
you realize that their actions, their words, and their way of being is going to influence who they are.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't know about you, but when you're younger, you looking for somebody
Oh,
to
absolutely.
to disprove what your parents are telling
Yeah.
you. Go stay at auntie house
Yeah,
on a weekend. Come
yeah.
home talking mess.
That's
She
right.
like, you better leave that at your auntie house. I don't
That's
need to
right.
have that
I can
here.
have Oreos at Auntie
Right?
House,
That's right.
man.
What you gonna do about it, ma?
Right,
And all of
right.
a sudden you sit in the corner by yourself. So I definitely get what you say about that, man. I appreciate that
Hmm.
wholeheartedly. And I think that's why we continue to work.
Absolutely.
And it was definitely a big inspiration for what I do, the mentoring the youth,
Hmm.
the way I do and taking them on. Big shout out to AJ. Y'all can't see him. He's behind the
Yeah,
camera.
yeah,
He'll get a
yeah.
mic soon. We gotta test him out.
I knew that kid since he had snot in his nose at PS15.
Jeez, he's talking about your snot, AJ. That is wild. I mean, it's all good though.
It's a beautiful thing, man. That we have been able to cultivate such
Hmm.
great relationships with the young men in the community. I know
Seriously.
that's something that I wish that I had, and that's why the work, bringing it right back around, right? That's why
Absolutely.
the work of Kismet of Kings is so important.
Yeah.
10 years, man. ten
It's a
years,
decade.
and it's been straight 10 years, right? It's like
Not even like a day off.
no break during COVID, right? Like just straight 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we morphed into a dynamic organization.
Mm.
I tell my team now that like you know you know to the masses, I really don't care what Kismet looks like to the masses.
Hmm.
But to us, I needed to run well.
Yeah.
I needed to feel right. I needed to make sense for the kids. I need us to affect change in their lives because that's the only way that when the masses see it, that it's going to penetrate. Oprah
Mm.
says when it leaves the heart, it penetrates the heart.
Ooh.
And so essentially, I know it's that's going to be the work that we do behind the scenes, the
Hmm.
stuff that people don't even know. You know what I mean? We've had over 215 young men go through our program itself.
Hmm.
We've affected the lives of about 700 young men
Hmm.
and their families through our annual event, Take Charge of Your Destiny.
Yeah.
We do at least 10,000 hours of community service. We have done over 10,000 hours of community service over the years. We 100% of our young men are college and or career ready,
Sheesh.
and so we're really excited about the work that we do, especially with the families.
So to do that for 10 years, because let's be honest, some people can't do that for a couple months. So to do that for 10 years, what do you feel is the key to, for lack of a better term, hooking in the youth
Hmm.
and getting them to buy into the Kismet way
Hmm.
that makes you guys so much more dynamic than other programs that are out there?
So I I specialize in working with young people,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know that that was a gift. I've just been blessed with the gift. I went through schooling. to become a teacher, but a lot of the things that I learned was because I connected with people, and I love kids. I know how to develop them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not just with kids, particularly with young men.
Mm-hmm.
There's this thing about young men that is special. So one thing that we do is we make one sound, one band, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we go over the bro code. BROKODE for Kismet of Kings, all right?
Mm-hmm.
The bro code, and then be respectful, be
Mm-hmm.
responsible, be inclusive, be positive, and be a problem solver.
Okay.
Right. And so we focus on that. And so now we get the one sound, because if a guy steps out of line, wilding or not getting good grades or not being positive or whatever, another young man comes in and say, let's get it
Mm.
together.
Community accountability, so to
Oh,
speak.
absolutely, absolutely. Because right, I don't see them, throughout this day, or I mean, I see them on the weekends, but their friends see each other.
Mm-hmm.
Their friends see them. They see each other, and so that accountability piece is important. Another thing that I'm really proud of is this idea of one on ones.
Mm.
I learned how to do one on ones as a leader in Trenton when I was what we know as a vice principal.
So
Um,
what exactly is a
a
one-on-one?
one-on-one is where I changed it for us, but the one-on-one that we do is about setting goals with the young man, three goals for the year, meeting him every other week, and holding him accountable to that.
Mm.
So if he's saying that, I want to get straight A's, I want to be more respectful to my mom, and I want to one kid goes, I want to learn how to talk to chicks. Right.
Okay.
And
Ain't
so it's
nothing wrong with
like,
that. Better learn sooner than later, brother.
right. And so with anything that they ask, essentially we're guiding them towards their goals.
Okay.
And it's nothing more, that one walks with a lot more pride when they're able to reach their goals,
Mm.
and knowing that they have a support system to do it.
Absolutely.
We're very intrusive. The mom and dad knows. They know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We are in basketball games. We're at schools. So no matter where you turn, we know somebody who knows you. Right? Like
Yeah.
outside, we know your family. We know what's going on. So we're able to have multiple conversations with you about a bunch of things.
Yeah, man. I remember. I'll never forget when we were on the camping trail. We went to a youth church.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Filipino youth church
Right.
on West Side Avenue, and one of the young men that was Kismet was Filipino,
Mm-hmm.
and we went there. We met everybody. It was super welcoming,
Yep.
and I think you and I were the only two non-Filipino people there. Which, I mean, nothing wrong with that at all. We were super comfy. And then, lo and behold, behind us, we
Mm-hmm.
get three other young men from Kismet walking in.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And I'm like, Lewis, what are they doing here? It's a Friday night
Right.
at 7 p.m. They going to church?
Right.
And he was like, yo, they come to show out and support.
Yeah.
And I never,
Their brother.
yeah, that type of
Mhm.
brotherhood is
Mhm.
something that's rare these days
Mhm.
when it comes to, I'm not saying young men don't care about each other and won't spend time with each other, but to be willing to support another young man in his personal endeavors to that effect is something that goes beyond just being friends,
Absolutely.
so to speak, right? Because
Yeah.
you'll go to your friend's house to play some video games. You'll go to your friend's house for dinner.
Right.
But if I was like, yo, I'm leading a youth church, you
Right.
want to come out? That's a little bit different.
Right.
So I
Right.
definitely see how you guys tie it in, and I think that's huge that community accountability, right? Because
Absolutely.
you can't be everywhere at all times. But if
Mhm.
you know, so to speak, I'm my brother's keeper.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know they're around you, you're gonna uphold it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so with Kismet and Kings now you do have the gift of working with young men. I see that. I work with a lot of your young men.
Mm-hmm.
They're constantly around me, and I see the level in which they live life
Mhm.
compared to people I haven't had that guidance. Now you are a father too.
Oh yeah.
Two amazing young boys. I don't know if you want to share their names. I don't put everything out there yet. They ain't famous yet, so we're gonna leave it there. But you are a father of two,
Mm-hmm.
and you became a father after um, opening and creating Kismet and Kings.
Absolutely.
How has it, if it has at all, being so deeply involved in mentoring you through Kismet? How has that affected your your ways as a father and you personally?
You know, that's a very hard question. So initially, I didn't want to have children. All right. So, all right. Let's
I'm
back it
like,
up.
you have
Let's
to
back it
clarify
up.
this because
Yeah,
I need to know how we get to two. You don't. We need to because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
so,
I'm doing it wrong.
so when I was younger, I told my wife and I met when I was like 18,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, yo, I want like 5 kids. She
Mm.
was like,
Basketball
man,
team.
get out of here, get away from me, right? You know that type of
Yeah,
thing.
we're
Like, get out of here,
18.
right? And then when we got married, when it became real, I was like, I don't want any children.
Mm.
Like she was like, yo, how you gonna go from 5 to
You,
nothing?
you
Like you
hooked her in.
crazy?
You sold
Yeah,
it. You sold
exactly,
her a car
exactly.
and was like, "There's no tires. I don't want to take it back."
Exactly. And what I realized was I was dealing with anxiety about thinking about having children,
Ooh.
right? And so the anxiety came from, yo, are you good enough? Do you
Mm.
think that you'll be able to do this? Do you think that you'll be like your dad and leave? And or like, do you even know what to do? You didn't even have the guidance when you were younger. How would you know what to do? And what I learned was through counseling, of course, that the work that I was doing with Kismet prepared me for my boys, my 2 boys, right? So I mean, no one calls me 2 o'clock in the morning to go go and get them from a party that they
Yeah.
had too much to drink. AJ and Bo, they're not doing that
Not
now.
doing that yet.
But and I don't intend that they will, but I will be able to handle it better, right? That because I've had that experience with young men.
Absolutely.
I've had experiences where a mom, kicks a kid out, at 8, 9 because he's being disrespectful, and I have to go over there and mediate and help him to see that the error of his ways, right? But also the compassionate piece, right, where I'm like, listen. You have a purpose here on earth, right? Like that compassionate, loving, understanding version of myself that I appreciate when I'm with the young men. I'm able to be that for my 2 boys at home. So yeah, it has equipped me so much, Kismet. And just to think that I thought that I was changing the lives of young people, young men around the city, and the reality is that they changed my life in so many ways.
Mm.
Yeah,
Ain't that the truth though?
that's crazy.
Ain't that the truth though? Because I being at where I am in my life now, I was in a very similar situation. I grew up without my father in my life for majority of my young life. We're in a good place now, and yeah, I think it makes sense, right? Because if you don't have that example there, when you're younger, you're kind of learning life through trial and error. Maybe you'll read some books. Maybe you'll talk to some uncles. Maybe you even have mentors that can help you. But a lot of the at home stuff behind the scenes, you don't really get a feel for, so to speak, if there's no one in the house seeing it, right?
Right.
If your mom is there, you don't have a good example for a healthy relationship, you're not sure how to treat your woman. If you didn't have a man there kind of leading the household, you're not sure how to do it yourself.
Right.
And even subconsciously, we may get to that point of like, I don't want to do that. Not because we don't want it, but because there's a fear of not knowing how.
That's right.
To do it. And the funny thing is, once you get it, you're like, yo, this is the dopest thing ever.
It's
like,
dope, but I always feel like I could do better, right?
Oh,
like,
that's so true.
It's amazing, and I enjoy it thoroughly. But I feel like sometimes I miss the mark, right? Like I could stay up a little longer and read the book with him, or when I'm leaving out the door and then the kids are crying, like I'm like, listen, I gotta go. I'll be back.
Don't you like
I'll
this
be back.
house? Don't you like those Oreos you eat at 10 o'clock?
Right. And so that's the hardest part. But you mentioned something about the dad piece, right?
Yeah.
And so it's very interesting what's happening right now in my life in terms of revelations.
Yeah.
All right. So my dad wasn't necessarily in my life, but he did the best that he could with what he had, right? Like, and I'm this years old, realizing that, right, and giving him that grace, right? Because if situations were different for me, I'm not sure if I would be in my children's life, right? So I can't really judge him, and I'm able to provide grace there as a man. Right.
Yeah.
But what I realized that culturally, and this is something that I'm working hard on. So culturally, my dad was only required to take out the garbage, right?
Yes.
Or be the guy who, he was a funny guy, right? He
Mm-hmm.
probably made people laugh. But then at some point, he was expected to raise a family and be the head of the household,
Yep.
right? So at what point, how is he going to learn that?
Yeah.
Where did he get the skill set
There's no
from?
onboarding.
There's nothing, right?
There's no pamphlet that's like, hey, son, so you went from take care of yourself.
Right.
Now it's everybody else.
Billy yourself though, right?
Yeah.
Because some of my single dudes, like, they're like, yo, I'm going to the corner store to buy a bar of soap. It's just like, dude, like, you don't have
Why
a
do you
bar of
not
soap.
have
He
soap?
ran out of soap because, like, he's a
But
single
you were
dude.
outside already.
Right.
Like, either
right.
maybe I'm wrong. Like, you either were out last night and you're showering this morning, or you are later in the day and you might have just been home from work and you still don't have soap. There was a long time between there was soap and no soap. So he's sitting there and his brother's like, nah, I gotta go on
Now I gotta go to the store, right?
But
And so when you think about that accountability piece, right? Like I have the accountability, but what I'm doing with Kismet of Kings, right, with the young men, I'm not just preparing them for, like, marriage or anything like that, but I'm preparing them to be the heads of the household, truly, right? Beyond beyond the taking out the garbage, beyond I remember my mom saying, "Oh yeah, do the chores in the bathroom." You're like, okay, what I got to do? She's telling me everything. Like, there's no self-authoring.
Yeah.
There's no, oh, I see there's dirt over there. Let me go over there. Right.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no self.
You don't gain that until later in life.
But and there's no real requirement for that.
That's true.
In that space, right? Or I don't know many people who trust an 8-year-old to be like, yo, you could cook the rice tonight.
Well, yeah,
right? You're responsible for that.
Yeah,
because
we know as a kid, right? Like you know your parents got you.
Mm-hmm.
Like that allowed us to be, I don't want to say fearless in a sense, but fearless in the repercussions of not complete our actions, so to speak. Like if I don't take the trash out, okay, they're gonna yell at me.
Right.
But then they're gonna take it out. Worst case scenario, I gotta take it out anyway, right?
Right.
And so that level of understanding your values and prioritizing, I'm not saying it's not taught, but do you feel like that level of values in the home is something that we shy away from because we're either not trying to, we can be deemed as a strict parent, or even at the opposite, right? Like I want my kid to be able to live. I'm not trying to take away the creativity and the fun. I'll take care of the household. How do you balance that with two young boys in society? Because there is a responsibility for men to not only take care of themselves but a household, but yet we're also expected to have fun, be creative. How do you go about teaching your boys like, hey, guys, take out the trash tonight. We also gonna help with dinner and getting this stuff done.
And so when I think about all of this, my philosophy is the earlier you're able to do it, the better you'll be when you have to do it. Right. So like if I'm teaching him, so AJ, he's 6, he'll be 7 tomorrow, and he makes his own breakfast. Right. So, but he's been doing that since like 5. Right. And so like we have a convection oven, and then whatever. So while we're there to guide him, I want to make sure that he knows what he's doing, right? And then sooner or later, when he has to do it, he doesn't need that supervision.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I think that there's a gradual turning up the temperature, if you will, right? So you like with eggs, if you're scrambling eggs, you're not going to put the fire all the way up because they'll burn, right?
Absolutely.
Or if you're boiling potatoes, you're not going to keep it on a low.
You ain't going to get to the start
because you're never going to get to the right. If you're boiling potatoes, you're not going to get to the part where it's soft or whatever.
Okay. What about the toast? Because we have potatoes and eggs, but we don't toast. I'm just like
no. And so when you think about those two analogies, we want to make sure that we turn the temperature up at a rate that our kids can handle, right? And so just because you are responsible for cooking the rice tonight, for example, that doesn't mean that zaps away from your creativity or you being a child. It's just saying that like, yo, you are in a situation where you could be responsible for this, and I trust you enough and I respect you enough to relinquish this to you.
Wow. So where does that leave us when? Like, I guess where's the line you see like as a line? Because unfortunately we do have a lot of single mothers out there, and subconsciously they may put their sons into a place of leading a home without actually realizing it. Put them in a space where, or even being emotionally supportive or being the best friend, just different things, right? Where does that line sit of like teaching my child to be independent versus now you become a dependent part of the household?
So, when I deal with a single mom, so first of all, I don't identify as a single mom, right?
No, not at all.
I would never be able to know what it
No,
looks like to
not at all.
be
Not
or
at
to
all. Not
be,
at
right,
all.
and walk in those shoes, right?
Yeah.
Walk in her shoes. But I think that you know your child,
Mm.
and so the goal here isn't to make them uber comfortable, right? I don't think that children need to have like, oh my gosh, like, the most comfortable situation where their bed is being made for them.
Mm.
They where when by the time they wake up, their toothbrush has a
There's a
toothpaste on it
toothpaste on
already.
it.
Right, like, or your clothes are out or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, where are we holding them to be responsible for themselves?
Mm.
Right, that's as a kid.
Very
And
true.
then when you're talking about preteen, 8 through 12, when are you helping them to be responsible for the family? And I'm not saying all the way responsible, but again, at the temperature that they could take. And then at teenagers to, like, young adult, yeah, what part of this family structure you're gonna take control over?
Mm.
Right.
Okay.
And if you're saying that, like, you're gonna be responsible for ordering, I don't know, making sure that the toilet paper is replenished, right? That you're gonna, they go on Amazon for everything else, right?
Why
You know what I
not?
mean? And
Be here in a
my money
day.
isn't connected to it. If they're responsible for making sure that the toilet paper is replenished every so often.
Okay.
However often you do it, and it should be super hard. I remember feeling responsible for my brother and sister,
Hmm.
their homework when I was like 8.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I don't think that you need to be that it needs to be that strenuous where you're like overwhelmed and stressed out and anxiety ridden,
Hmm.
filled, right? But there needs to be like this thing of like of ownership.
Absolutely.
And I think what happens is in our family structures, is either we're too strong or we're too weak. But we need to find that happy medium when it comes to raising our children, especially black and brown boys.
Very true. Very true. I deeply agree with that. Just finding a balance because it can get lost,
Hmm.
right? I know as I get older and I become more comfortable in pushing myself and my boundaries to achieve my goals, I often lose sight of like, okay, this person is not aware of this. This
Hmm.
child is not aware of that. The level in which I'm pushing them, I may be comfortable with, but they may not.
Hmm.
And as adults, I think we it's weird, right? Because we kind of lose that sense of empathy for
Hmm.
the age and their
That's right.
knowledge. Where like I always use the Peter Pan effect.
Hmm.
Like we forget when we're kids
Hmm.
because we kind of I don't want to say get forced, but you're forced to mature and get
Hmm.
older. If you don't, then that's on you. But we kind of forget that about the youth. Now, one thing you said was like you 8 years old, you were responsible for the homework for your brothers and sisters. And like you said before, there's really no handbook
Hmm.
of the transition from adolescence into adulthood into parenthood. What were some of the ways, or who were some of the people that you look towards to learn about those things, to maintain a happy home, keeping the balance into some of the things that you're doing today?
So, uh, it's so crazy because I could like count like the amount of people. My mom was number one,
Mm.
right? She had gone through a lot, right? And so she thought by like being mama bear and like pushing down anybody who came in our way, just trying to protect us and make sure because she wished that she had that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But she showed me and she helped me to understand like what love felt like,
Mm.
right? I feel like Maya Angelou talks about that, like just this idea of like feeling loved and know what it feels like to be loved, and not a lot of people get that opportunity, right? And so
Mm.
like my mom loved us,
Yeah.
and I appreciate that. It wasn't always the most healthy environment because she was dealing with her demons,
Mm.
but I knew that she loved us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then I had like mentors at church. I stayed in church, bro, and that was a way to like get away from all the craziness in my house.
Okay.
Right. So my mom and my stepdad, they had like a toxic relationship. A lot of it was, you know, she was very aggressive. Like my mom was aggressive. I don't
Okay.
want to say like I was like trying to come up with the right word, but like I like she was aggressive.
Yeah.
And she was just adamant about like getting what she needed.
Yeah.
And I think my stepdad had a hard time because he wanted to be the man,
Mm-hmm.
but he wasn't. He wanted to be the man by virtue of voice or
Yes.
or him having a penis, not
Yes.
necessarily with the responsibility. Because
Yes.
my mom held everything down, like
Yes.
you know what I mean, and worked two jobs or whatever. You
Yep.
know what I mean. So that was always interesting, but. So going to church, I met a lot of older guys who
Mm.
were just about their business. They worked really hard. They were family men and they loved God. And I was like, oh, I could see myself in that,
There you
right?
go.
But they were in church, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so once or twice a week I was there, right? But then I had to go back home for the rest of the time. So that was, a temporary reprieve, but
Okay.
it wasn't right. It wasn't permanent enough for me to see them day to day to be like, oh, that's how they tie their shoe. Or that's how they.
Mm.
Oh, that's what they wore to work Monday, Tuesday. Oh, that's the way they put on their cologne. That's what I mean. Like
So it's
the
just the
intricate parts
simplest
of it.
things,
Right,
the
right, right.
simplest lessons in life that you can pick up just observing someone
Yeah.
being in a household and doing it. Because yeah, that is the one of the strongest ways we teach is through observation of the world around us.
Right,
And we
right.
don't think, and it's funny because you said it like when it came down to wanting to be a dad and actually doing it,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, no, no, I'm good. I don't know if
Yeah,
this
that's
is
crazy.
scary, but
Yeah.
really the only thing, and I don't say only because it ain't easy. Don't let me say only like just be a man, right? Like wake up, you are a man.
Right, right.
But not like I think we take if you spend the time working on yourself to be a good person, being a dad becomes easy
Mm-hmm.
because all you're doing is teaching your way of life to someone small,
Mm-hmm.
and they're eager to learn.
Mm-hmm.
They're hungry to learn. I mean, you've seen it with Kismet, like, and then I've seen it with the youth that I work with, and people, young youth from Kismet, where if you can align with them, come down, get to their level of communication, understanding, and then vibe with them on what matters to them, you can teach them anything.
That's the formula right
You
there.
can literally influence the outcome of where they want to go. You can learn where you could push them and where you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can start molding and giving the tools. And most of the time, they'll pick and choose what they like.
Absolutely.
Like I'm not gonna lie, like I get made fun of consistently for my outfits and my clothing. I wear Vans year round. I have no Jordans, no J's on these feet. If anybody wants to sponsor some,
Right, right,
I'm a
right.
size 13. I like the patent leather joints. I don't, yeah, was that the 11s? I think they call. I
Yeah,
don't even
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
I'll take a pair of those. Black is
What color?
nice.
Okay,
Black
okay.
with the red. I know those are the more expensive ones,
Yeah,
but
they're about to come out in a couple. Okay, I got you. Don't worry.
oh, okay,
We'll figure
nice.
something out.
we'll
We'll
figure
figure something out.
we'll figure it out. But like that fear goes away when you start doing it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's the biggest thing. Like men are not. Would you say men are not willing? Do they hide that fear with anger or aggression or false sense of confidence? Right, because many men, when you talk to them about why they're not around the baby moms or they're not in a relationship with their kids, they give you a million different reasons. But it could just boil down to that fear. I don't know what I'm doing. Fear of losing yourself, losing who you are. It could even bring up other traumas you had in your life
Mm-hmm.
that you had to address.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you feel like that kind of taps into the whole scenario without the men even realizing it?
Yeah, that's a very good point, man. Yeah, absolutely. I think again, when we're only trained to, take out the garbage, we're and the other piece, right? Where we're devoid of emotion, right? When we're talking, like if a young man cried, I remember when I cried
Mm-hmm.
when I was younger. My stepdad punched me. Stop crying like a little bitch.
Sheesh. Yeah.
And like that like stay with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like I can't cry. Like what's wrong with that, right? So now you go outside, take out the garbage, right? Don't cry when you're hurt, right? That's a recipe for disaster. Now you're saying like, yo, when you have kids, you need to understand their emotions. But how
Yeah.
when they weren't able to
Absolutely. You never were
identify
able
with
to
their
express
own,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, you need to make sure that you tend to your wife. Make sure, right? It's almost like you know you got to lead this household, but how? When the only thing I've been doing my whole life was doing what everybody told me to do. I never took
Literally.
agency, right? And the responsibility was very minimum,
Yeah.
right? And so is with the legit. I don't know how, and it's a fear because it's out of my will of abilities.
Yeah. And on top of that, fear is not fear, failure is or lack of success or having a problem is something we don't deem okay in this society.
Oh yeah,
Like you're not allowed to have a moment of weakness at any point. If you say you're gonna be the best at something, you should come out best. You born with it. You don't need to try, practice, or nothing. It should just come naturally. And I think we don't realize that for even fatherhood.
Yeah, man.
Because like you ain't gonna be the best. You gonna mess up. Like I don't know anybody that's a parent or been raising kids or mentoring that's ever been like, no, perfect record, knock it out the park, everything's been great, never made a mistake. Like you're gonna make a mistake. You're gonna address something you don't. Maybe I could have did that better.
Yep.
Maybe I could have approached it better. I know for me, there's been things in which I've done that reminded me of times in my youth, and I'm like, yo, this trigger is crazy. I gotta go. I gotta leave. I'll be right back. I'm happy to be here. Don't get me wrong, but this is crazy, bringing up some old emotions.
Right.
And you realize you have to deal with that stuff that was involved in your life to be there for them. And I think you kind of, where people get more calm in parenting is where they realize like it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to mess up. Like it ain't gonna be perfect. Like there is no. One thing I was told is that there is no normal. We create this false narrative of what normal is, what it's supposed to be. We grade everyone on one line of understanding. That's simply not true.
Right.
Because like I'm a workaholic. I work 16-hour days. I love what I do, and thanks for the voucher. But it's like I'm not going to expect the rest of my family to do that. Like if you say you want something bad enough, and I know the tools and values I can give you to help you get there, then of course, I'm gonna push you a little bit more because I know it's gonna take for you to get to where you want to be. But if your goals aren't aligned, then I ain't gonna be like, hey, at 6 a.m. get up. I ain't gonna be like, what you talking about? It's 8 o'clock. You gonna go lay down? No. We got work to do. It's not gonna push in that. But even if I have had moments like that, I can be like, oh, I could have did that better. Right. That wasn't good. Like let me learn. And craziest joint. And please give me your opinion on this. Messing up and then growing through it with your spouse is probably the most fun thing out of all of it. Yeah. Like you ever have a time with your wife where like maybe you did something before that you could have addressed better, and then it came up again. Yeah, that's where I'm coming from. It came up again. I don't know where that came from. But it came up again, and you handle it different. It just went over so much smoother. Agreement.
Oh yeah, and those are the times that we live for, right?
Absolutely.
I think that we have the luxury of standing in a space where we messed up, and then expecting that things are going to get better. I think that's a luxury. I think oftentimes, right, when you haven't had the skill set or the practice of it, right? When you're like, yo, I can't be emotionally vulnerable. I can't, show that I'm weak in this space or whatever, right? Then 9 times out of 10 you won't, and you're gonna run away from it, right?
Oh yeah.
And so like I look forward to those opportunities to talk to my bros, right? Like, yo, listen, I see you, and I know that you think that you're not messing up, but you are. It's flagrant, right? It's right there, right?
What are you doing?
You're doing everything except for talking about it.
Yeah.
Right? Like I see that you're not living up to the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And the reason why you aren't is because you haven't released, you haven't spoken about it, you haven't solicited help, right? You haven't encouraged, support in any way, right? You haven't welcomed support in any way.
Yeah.
And so as men, I think that we could do a way better job.
Absolutely.
Right. At just being okay with being vulnerable. But also, right, I know that because we've done work, and I know the work that you have done personally, I think that we're sitting in from a place of privilege.
Oh, it's easier to say than done.
No. I mean, we did it.
Yeah,
right? We did it.
But that's we're definitely
done. Right. And we're definitely in a space of just like, yo, we're privileged.
Yeah, and I believe it is a privilege because to have the time and the resources to do it, like I know I'm extremely blessed. Like that time that I had off to work with you, like I had 6 months paid medical leave. I was injured, so I couldn't go back to my job, but that allowed me to help you with the campaign and everything, and it allowed me to even just that time to spend time with myself. Because
Yeah, that was
during
great.
that time, bro, I was living like a monk.
Yeah,
Like
you
you were
were.
there with me.
You were.
Like I was waking up every day at 6 a.m. I was doing my Wim Hof breathing, my cold
Yeah.
showers, my journaling, the clean eating, the getting 8 hours sleep, the
Yep.
no social media, no distractions, no dopamine content at all. Allowed me to heal from a place that's different. And on top of that, I had a therapist.
That's right.
So it was
I
like
remember
not
that.
only did I have the time and
Mhm.
I didn't have to worry about money, I still had the health insurance to cover a good therapist.
That's right.
So like it is an extreme privilege
Hmm.
that we have because I know doing the work I'm doing on the county level, we don't look at mental health as seriously at we don't even look at it as a medical
Mm.
health really, right?
Hmm.
Like when you look at your health, your medical card, it talks about your emergency room visits, your doctor's
Hmm.
office visit, your specialized visit.
Hmm.
Nobody really read below that and be like,
You got to turn
you
that
gotta
bad
tell
boy
them, yeah,
around.
what about the
That's where the
therapist?
therapist
Yeah,
comes back. You
right.
know what I'm saying? Yeah,
No
yeah,
one
yeah.
knows, and so you don't know. People don't talk about it, and I think you can probably agree with this. Like in the black community, there's a stigma behind it. In many communities, right? And I have some of my people I work with in other families talking about the machismo mentality. I don't need
Yeah,
help. I'm
yeah.
good. In different cultures all over the world, there's a stigma of men need to be strong and not express themselves. Now we get heavy into the mental health. It
Uh-huh.
literally is mental health is big, right? Right now, it doesn't matter what day, what week, what month. There's always something involved with mental health. And I feel like mentoring and fatherhood,
Hmm.
everything that we mentioned, we discount or we don't even include the effects of mental health and how important it is in that role.
Hmm.
So, as a father and through your mental health journey, how big of an influence and impact has the decision to take on that journey impacted where you are today?
So that's such a complex question, and I love it, man. I'm trying to figure out like the best angle to like hit it. My journey with mental health has been tumultuous
Mm.
at best. I
You're
remember.
gonna have to let us know for some of us non-SAT word people
Yeah,
what
right. No.
tumultuous. Big shout to DB. What's that word?
Yeah, it's been crazy, and if I'm honest, I'm a little like uncomfortable, right? I don't know why, but
No, I mean it's a very intimate question because
mhm,
when you think about it, you can almost look up and have flashbacks to those tough
yeah,
times, those big moments
yeah,
that you had to overcome
yeah,
to really get to where you are. And I think that's where I would love to dive in because I more direct. What's one like some of the top things if you're willing to share them
mhm.
that you had to address or deal with on your mental health journey that really even though they were the biggest hurdles probably gave you the biggest rewards.
Hmm. I remember as a kid, man, biting my nails all the time.
Mm.
And even now, if I am pensive about a particular thought, or if I'm like anxious about something,
Yeah.
you'll catch me like nibbling on my fingers, right?
Okay.
But my mom would just say, "Stop eating your nails, boy! Stop
Mm-hmm.
eating your nails!" Right? But in my head, like looking back now, it was directly connected to trauma, and that's the way I was soothing myself, right?
Mm.
So whenever I would like witness like my mom and dad getting into a scuffle, right? My mom and stepdad, I mean, or like so many traumatic experiences happened. Like we had a fire,
Mm.
and I remember being on the third floor of an apartment building, and my mom's cousin. Well, I guess he's my cousin too, but he basically he came to visit.
Yeah.
He goes, "Lewis, run downstairs." And I just started running downstairs. It was in the winter. I had on long johns, no shirt, no shoes.
Mm.
And the ground was cold. I just remember jumping up and down or whatever. And I was like, my family is upstairs. My family is upstairs. And then next thing you know, my cousin comes downstairs. So now my mother and my brother and sister are in the room. And so we lived on the third floor, and there was like a little lever of some sort on the second floor.
Yeah.
So one of our neighbors climbed like that. It was like two poles.
Mm.
So he climbed the pole, stood on a lever, and my mother threw my brother out first, and then
Mm.
she threw my sister out first.
Yeah.
And then she said, "Y'all get ahead. Let me just die here." I
Wow.
was like, "No,
No.
Mom, let's go. Jump out of the window. Are you serious?" I'm just like going off, like jumping back and forth. And I just remember like how much she thought of herself, or how
Mm.
less she thought of herself to say, "Take my kids. I'm okay with dying here." Right.
Sheesh.
And so that's one, right. But then I fights, stabbing, shooting, like that was like
Just everyday
stuff that
life
I
growing up in the hood.
and Booker T projects, right.
Yeah.
There was love there. That's what made it so complex,
Yeah.
right. Like, we had our own store. We figured out a way to make it a community,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like basketball games and teams, and I remember volleyball, food in the summer. I remember all of that. But
Mm-hmm.
then all of the like crackheads, right,
Yeah.
that were coming in, and the fights that I saw, or the things that I thought were normal, but it was very traumatic for me.
Yeah.
And so I just remember, dealing with those types of anxious feelings, but not really knowing what they were, just biting my fingernails and like somehow retreating.
Yeah.
Right. So graduate from Harvard, and it hits me like a ton of bricks. The same types of feelings. And I'm like, yo, what's going on with me? Like, what's happening right now?
Mm-hmm.
And then therapy. And then I realized I suffer from depression and anxiety.
Sheesh.
I was on Zoloft, about 5 milligrams or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And when I was on Zoloft, I was like, there's more to life than this. I
Yeah.
know that there has to be.
Absolutely.
And so I ended up starting Kismet of Kings, because also my cousin was murdered in the same projects, right? So all of the trauma of love, all of the trauma in one particular place, but also all the love in that place, right? It's very weird, because if it was all trauma filled, I'm sure we wouldn't have lived there.
Absolutely.
We would have left, right? We would have been out. But there was such a perplexed experience. But I'm saying that to say, everything that happened with the young men, everything that happened with the young men now is all like trauma informed practices. All of those are very therapeutic ways of supporting them.
Mm.
The one-on-ones that we do is really like a therapy session.
Yeah.
Really,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, we don't have the credentials, so we never would claim to be,
Never claim it, yeah.
social work or LSW or whatever, right? But what we have is heart. We have a desire for them to make better decisions, and we have the view of them having the best version of their lives for themselves. So that's what we are.
I dig it. Give me 1 second. I think that shut off. You can hit record.
So
Did it say why they shut off? Did it say heat?
No, I said run on and SC something.
That's fine. You press record.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
You press record already?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, okay. I trust you. And now it's still good?
I know we're in the middle of this, but for this, is this recording? Because
No. Did you press it?
it was green. I don't know if it was.
No, you had to press it. That's fine.
I wanted to wait until.
No, press it now.
Okay. Okay, so it is supposed to be red. Okay.
Yes. We're going to now have to use the audio from these.
I know.
We'll make it happen. It's clean enough.
It's still gonna be clean. Yeah,
We'll get everything and
I
we'll
didn't
make
want
it
to
happen.
I didn't want to distract the.
Next
it
time,
was
do it
good.
sooner. You can always copy. I don't mind.
Okay.
So, all right.
That's good.
So, mental health, the boys one-on-one is like a session. So, I mean, that's kind of wild because, like, most people would look at those instances of life, depending on where you grew up, and not really see the love there. They really wouldn't look at those things because when you say it, it reminds me of when I grew up in East Orange and like eating a lunch in the park and those bologna sandwiches with the chocolate milk.
That's right.
Like
That's
that
right.
was fire
Yeah,
back then.
absolutely.
Like,
did you guys do the breakfast too?
oh, I don't remember the breakfast,
Oh, my
bro.
favorite were
I
the
don't remember.
donuts.
No, I remember the French toast they had with the
Okay.
breakfast, bro. Oh man, because they give that little bit of syrup.
Yeah.
Oh, and that little like the McDonald's joint.
That's right.
Yo, and you try to get all of it. That
That's
one
right.
little piece, you be like, yo, I ain't leaving none of
Sopping
this.
it up.
Right?
Right.
Seriously, but you look at it and there is so much love there, but there's a lot of trauma that we don't realize when we take with us because we're in a level of survival mode with it. So it's definitely how do you say, like, it's a love-hate relationship because you have to make the best of where you come from and best of that world to be happy in a space of survival. And I don't think that we address that or I don't want to say it's a bad thing. Because I think being able to find peace and simplicity in any environment is needed because you never know where your life takes you. But I think being able to have an outlet, like you provide the one-on-ones with the young men, you were able to get treatment for yourself. Without having that, you don't realize there's a better road out.
And let me also say this. I think growing up in Booker T is what made me today. Not in that like, esoteric way, but legit. Folks would be like, "What are you doing here?" I couldn't go where everybody else went. Even the parties or whatever, they'd be like, go back in the house. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
It was almost as if they saw how special I was, and they couldn't chance it.
Yeah.
Like my older cousins were very overprotective. Like my dad's nephew, my dad wasn't in my life. I said
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but like his nephew understood that, and he would support me in many ways that I'm like indebted to him to this day. And so like I feel like the hood was like, yo, we got one here. Let's all protect him so that he can make it.
Yeah.
So when I walk through the door as Lewis Spears, like it's not just me, right?
Yeah.
I represent a conglomerate
Absolutely.
of individuals who sacrificed for me to be there, to be wherever I am, and I feel grateful for that.
Yeah.
I'm humbled by that. They saw something special, and therein lies a different level of like pressure. But I was gonna be who I was gonna be anyway.
Absolutely.
They were just protecting it.
And I think always find that fascinating, is because like we've talked about it, like the spiritual side of life, and how, depending on what your beliefs are, some things happen for a reason, some don't. But when you look at it, to have that level of, I would say, protection and care within your community, it was almost like they created this bubble around you. Like you could see what's going on, but you ain't participating. And you could learn from these lessons, but you don't need them to affect you directly.
Absolutely.
It's almost as if they themselves were playing a part in your life. Where what's the word I'm looking for? Where they say each of us is the star of our own show and our own journey, but you being the best person you can means that you are also the co-star of others. So the best way you could be a good co-star is by being the best you can at your journey. So when you tell me things like people would look out for you like that, they may not have been being the all-stars in their own show, but they were at least stepping up in that part. Amazing. To be like, no, I need to make sure I'm good for this dude, and make sure that he sees the value in himself.
Oh yeah.
Because that's beyond a blessing.
Oh my God.
When you see it, because you're one kid from Booker T. Imagine if every kid in Booker T has somebody looking out for him like that. Imagine if just one person being like, "Nah, get out of here, go home, go finish your homework. You eat tonight. You good? You got everything you need. You being respectful. Just having somebody like that could change someone's course of value and action." Like I look back on, I never took the time to look back on the mentors I had, which is ironic, right? Like I never stopped and been like, who really affected my life? But the other day I did. And I thought of some people that just really stuck out, because I would like, but my mom, mom's day one, A1. Like my mom influenced, she's the reason why I work so hard. She's the reason why I grind the way I do. And I have this fight to go get what you want.
She's an amazing individual.
Bro, you're telling me. And I appreciate it day in and day out. Just the lessons I've learned.
Absolutely.
The ruthlessness, and the number one lesson my mom always tell me: don't ever let someone feel like you don't belong somewhere. You belong everywhere and anywhere. You have the same level of intellect. And she never let me fall into a being of like, I can't do this. She never let me, being a black kid from the hood, ever be my safety net. So like, oh, I can't do this. It's too hard. I'm not like these other kids. They had it easy and blah, blah. My mom was like, I don't hear all that mess. How you going to make it work? How you going to change what you need to do? So I was extremely grateful for that with my mom. Still truly am grateful for that with my mom. And I wish more people had someone like that in the support, and it makes the value of mentorship even greater. We talked a lot about just growing up in the hood, right? And being a father, getting mental health and getting help, and realizing like there's no stigma behind it. Like you can be a better man. And I believe there's a shift in society and the culture. In the way we see that. We see hip-hop artists getting a little more sentimental and talking about mental health and leading it up. And it's kind of becoming more mainstream. Right. But I think one thing they don't talk about is finding the balance of mental health in everyday life and being a provider in that work hustle, right? Because like you said, I was sharing with you, I work 16-hour days. How do you find that balance? For you, everything you've achieved from writing your book, running Kismet, running for mayor, everything you going to Harvard, you haven't had what people call a balanced life in any way, shape, or form. The stories I told y'all, for you share with me, how did you find a balance through all those times of intense focus and intense work? Because when you went to Harvard, how old were you?
26.
You were 26,
26.
and I believe you and Miriam at that time were engaged or just getting
just
married?
got married.
Just got
in
married.
May.
So
And
that's
August.
that's an extreme stressor in the beginning. Like, how do you find ways to balance that from Harvard when you just got married to having kids and running for mayor and Kismet and everything? Because these are high demanding jobs and things you want to do. How do you find balance in that?
I don't know if it's balance. So when I got married, Miriam also was in residency. So like I'm at Harvard, she's a residency. So we figured it out like once a month. She would come to Boston. I would come back down here another time during the month. You just make it work. I don't know. So I don't know any successful person who doesn't have two things: a schedule that they are where they are intentional about making sure that they are finished with all of their desired goals, right? And then a team, like an amazing group of folks who are committed to seeing you grow and seeing you into the ensuring that you are successful, right?
Okay.
And so I lean heavily on my team. Even like you're like, hey, I want to have dinner. Should I reach out to your administrative assistant or like do it? Like how do I do
I
this?
was like, who do I text to get some Lewis time? Respectfully, always respectfully.
Always respectfully,
Yes.
right? The schedule, right? I love spending time with my friends. So there's always something in my calendar each week that says, yo, reach out to this person,
Okay.
or connect with this person, or make sure that you this person is getting operation. Make sure you call on them to check up on them or whatever. But then in my calendar, is really busy, and I'm intentional about spending time with my kids. I send a calendar. Tell your wife you love her, not because I don't, but because I want to be intentional about it, right? Just anything. Take a nap. I had to take a nap this morning. Right?
In the
Before I got
schedule.
here, right?
On
It's
the
in my
calendar.
schedule, right?
Okay.
Today in my calendar. I'm taking a nutritious class. Like, I have to put that in my calendar. You have to
Yes.
study a certain amount of time during the week. And I don't know where I would be without the calendar and essentially my people. And so I think that's where you can have a semblance of balance, but I don't know if that's ever a thing. Like, so because when you say balance, I'm thinking like equal amount across.
Oh no. We've
But
understood balance is never equal.
Okay, but like a checklist of everything, maybe, yeah, to make sure that like I want to be an amazing dad, I want to lose 25 pounds, I want to write a book, I want to do all, and so I'm like, all right, good, I'm gonna check these things off and put them on my calendar.
Sheesh, man. See, I'm glad I'm not the only one in that mode, because a lot of people, when they see you doing such, I guess you could say, when they see you living such a high capacity life, where you are achieving your goals, you are still there supporting your family, and you still find time for yourself. Most people, we hear it all the time, and I'm sure we do. We see it in the memes. Like, oh, I ain't getting up, I ain't doing nothing, I'm laying on this couch. Oh God, it's Monday, I hate this. Thank God it's Friday. But we often don't realize that you're going to trying to create a life without pain is impossible. You're going to have pain. Either going to have a pain of regret sitting on your couch, or you're going to have a pain of exhaustion from putting in work for what you want. And I think that just goes to show, like, if you're just consistent with it, you can achieve what you want. Because you sitting here telling me lose 25 pounds, be a great dad, write a book. I'm like, all right, bro. I'm tired right now. You can lead the show. We're done. You go home, get working. I'm good. But I think it is important to show people that. But what would you say to somebody that maybe they're in a rut? Maybe they look at somebody like you and they're like, oh, he's special. He had everybody around him. He had the team. He got his wife is dope. She's doing stuff too. He got the family. Like, he had the opportunities. I don't have that. What is your words to them?
That's a very good question, because I encounter folks like that often.
Mm-hmm.
And so start with where you are, right? So if you're on the couch saying I can't do this, you probably won't be able to do it, right? So like start where you are, and it's in a sense of all right. I'm on the couch right now. Where do I see myself, right? I'm not saying get off the couch physically, get off the couch mentally in terms of trying to figure out, okay, so if you come to my house or my office or wherever, you will see that there are post-it boards all around, right? And so when I'm in a rut, because we have those days and we're human, I sit back and I'm like, all right, who is in my circle who's doing it, right? Can I get a meeting with them, right? Can I talk to them? Like, how I remember my mentor. I graduated from Harvard. I wanted him to mentor me so badly that I carried his briefcase for him everywhere he went to go speak because I just wanted that time. I offered to be his driver, so I would drive him and carry his suitcase, sell ties for him, sell books for him because I just wanted to be in his vicinity. I wanted to see what he is doing. And what am I doing today? I have a book, so going around speaking, doing everything. But I needed to see that in order to do it.
You need
right?
you need you need to see the blueprint.
Yeah.
In order to start the execution.
That's how I am as an individual, right? So make sure you look at your circle, and if they're not in your circle, figure out how to get them in there. My mentor wasn't. I reached out to him in church. After church, I waited for him. I'm like, hey, can you be my mentor? He was like, yeah, all right, whatever. I'm like, no, I'm serious. I need you to mentor me. It's like, okay, yeah, come back. Came back the next week. Remember I asked you to be my mentor. He was like, read these books.
Wow.
I was like, all right. So I read the books within like a month, and I came back like, this is what this is talking about. Whatever. I read the books, and then he started mentoring me. Right. So it might take a little sweat equity. So you're gonna know who's in your system, right? In your circle. But then you're also gonna figure out what is it that's going on with you. Is it a physical thing where you need more rest or anything like that? Is it like a psychological thing where you might need to go to different forms of therapy? Like figure out, is it a weight thing where you're eating crazily or whatever? Maybe you need to go to the gym. There's something going on the inside of you, and it could be a combo of the three.
Seriously.
Right? And so figure out that piece. Try to do what you need to do to get to the bottom of that. And if you don't have health insurance, you could definitely go online and apply. The open enrollment is on November 1st. It's so important.
Y'all
right?
heard that here. We're going to try to get this episode out before November 1st. Get that health insurance, open enrollment.
No, for real. Because it opens there, right? And you have to get to the bottom of what's that going on with you, right? Because it might not even be it might not even be like emotional. It might just be you need to get your behind in the gym and get those.
Seriously.
Get those.
Your B12 levels might be a little bit low.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
You may need some iron.
You might need vitamins.
Bro,
right?
seriously.
Right? Where you're getting to that level, right? And then third.
AJ over there laughing. I'm like, AJ's like, where your vitamins at, bro?
and third and not least, man, find you an accountability partner. Share your dreams. Share what you want to do with that person and ask them to check in on you every so often. So my accountability partner, I asked her to call me on Mondays to see what I did over the previous week, right? Just to hold me accountable. I said I want to write another book. Second book come out. But
watch for it.
Right, all right. So I need her to hold me accountable to the writing process.
Yeah.
Right? I told my wife I want to lose weight. Right? So she's like, yo, now I have a trainer. He's holding me accountable to the exercise process. Right? So there are things that you want to do. Find somebody who's going to hold you accountable to who you want to be, not to who you are right now.
Whew. I mean, I might just let that sit and marinate for a little bit because, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head and for what a lot of people preach in success and make it sound a lot more accessible because there are mentors around us that can help us do the things we want to do. And if there's someone you don't know directly, you can go find how to get in contact. Yeah. I mean, literally, I just walked up to you. Yeah. And I was like, oh, fundraiser? Hey, Mr. Spears, congratulations. Love what you're doing.
Right.
Let's talk. And it kind of just happened that way.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have mentors now in every aspect of what I do. I think it's extremely important because I think most of us don't start because we don't know what to do first. or where to start. We live in a world where we glorify the end goal, but we don't talk about the process.
That's right.
And that's kind of the key of hidden information.
Bro,
because when you have
Right.
to learn for yourself, whether you're that first generation in your family, going after your dreams, going to college, getting a certain type of job, you have to learn for yourself. And it takes a means of having the confidence in yourself to adjust to your environment. That like failure is only when I stop trying. It's not when I mess up.
Absolutely.
We learn from our mistakes.
Absolutely.
We don't have to stop going because of it. And having an accountability partner is huge, right? Because let's be real here. Most people, if it was up to them to go out and get in shape, they'd be like, "Man, I'm staying home.
Yep.
I ain't gonna worry about it." But the minute you do have somebody that's gonna call on the phone like, "What you doing?" You're like, "All right, let me get up.
Yep.
Let me do it." And I think kids are a big thermometer of that. If you share your dreams with them and they be like, "I thought you was doing this," you're like, "Oh my God, I shouldn't have told him this." But
I forgot
learn.
one big thing.
No, please.
The spirituality piece. Who's your God is gonna. It's gonna be so important during this process, right? What you're saying to your God, what you believe about yourself through the lens of your God, right? That's also very paramount.
Very true.
Right? And so, you want to make sure that your spiritual life is up to par, because otherwise, right, you'll be dealing with all these thoughts and these untruths that you sit with and you let it stir. And essentially, you need your higher power to say, "Nah, you're more powerful than what you think you are."
Wow.
I see you as the head and not the tail. I see, right? Like you need your higher power to speak those things into your life.
Wow. So you need to basically hit the four corners
Absolutely.
of life: spiritual,
Yep.
your mental, emotional, and your physical.
Yep.
So if you can lock all the four of those in, you kind of lock the key of life, and you become a different person. You become a different beast.
You become a different beast, man.
Yeah.
You become a different beast. You're not gonna recognize yourself.
Oh yeah, you won't.
It's thoroughly uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable.
Extremely.
Extremely.
Even right now.
Oh yeah.
On this show.
As we speak. Nah.
Yes.
No, but it's uncomfortable. And even though I know the dreams that I have, and places that I want to go, it's still very uncomfortable as I'm walking towards that space. And so you're gonna have to become comfortable with discomfort.
Oh yeah, because you have to become the person you need to be to achieve that goal.
Yeah.
And if you were that person now, you would already be at that goal.
Absolutely.
And we don't realize that to get to the heights of which we dream, it's just constant mountains you have to climb. And it's multiple, right? Like there's never an end, no matter what you want to do. I like to point out Deion Sanders is one, right? Like that man is up there in age. But if you look at his entire career, you're like, this man had to battle his way through high school, get to college and do the things he did, then get to the pros and be a multiple sport professional athlete for a while, then get out, start over, start coaching his sons at a young age. Not just in college. He's been coaching his sons since probably middle school, then high school in Texas, college at Jackson. Now he's at Buffalo. And now we're seeing the big part of his second chapter. So I think we have to be realistic with our time, have a little more patience with ourselves, and just start enjoying the journey. Absolutely. Because that's the wildest part is one thing I know helped me is I started looking at my challenges in life as gifts, where I say because spiritually I say God must love me enough and believe in me enough to give me a hurdle this big. To give me a dream this big in my head, because to get here, I'm gonna have to do a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
And that can be extremely scary, extremely frightful, because you most of the time have to do things you don't know how to do at the moment. You have to go places you ain't never been, meet people you don't know, and become a person you can't fathom who you are. And I guess that's that saying of walking in faith, right? Like, if this is what's being put before me, and I believe I can do it. If God believes I can do it, I'm gonna do it. And I think you made a good point, is the moment you can align all four of those, that fear doesn't go away, but it becomes a different type of emotion. That fear is a trigger of like, oh, I'm in the right place. Right. Oh, we about to level up. Yeah. You look at almost as a sense of excitement instead of an emotion of despair and avoidance. Right. You start getting an excited piece. Like, same thing with parenting. Oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And then you start doing it, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, You're like, oh, I'm pretty good at this. My kid's doing well. They got honor roll this marking period.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's crazy.
And it brings around full circle, man. It brings around full circle.
Yeah.
So with that said, my guy, I'm super happy to have you on here. Super proud of you. I'm super happy to hear that you're writing another book. We're super excited. We're not going to have any inside details now. But when it is finished, we'd definitely love to have you come back on. I want to give you a moment. Is there anything you want to talk about? Anything people you want to shout out? You want to let the people know what you got going on? Your camera is right there. Shout out to the people. Let them know you got going on.
Okay. So shout out to everyone who have supported the work of Lewis Spears, Kismet of Kings, my children, my marriage, anything that you have supported over the years. Shout out to you. Thank you so much. We're revving up for another level. As Chris has said, we are writing a book, and it's going to be around this idea of development. Right? What does it look like to develop youth, particularly, but just development in these spaces? Kismet of Kings, man. Like we're on the move. We're looking to start a school in 2025 with sixth graders, about 60 young men for the first grade, for the sixth grade, and we're gonna go up every year until college. We're working on expanding our reach. So right now we have about 40 young men. That's a part of the program. We're hoping to extend it to about 50 next year, and then 100 the year after that. So we're looking forward to some great things, and we're just here to support the community today and forever. Yeah.
Good stuff, my guy. Good stuff. So thank you again for coming on. I appreciate making our pilot episode a good one. Starting off where we left off, like so to speak. Ready for the next level. So appreciate you, bro.
Thank you for having me.
Very much, man. Always, Absolutely. Man. You know you'll be back. It's only a matter of time. But
yes, sir.
So if you guys want to thank you guys for tuning in. Your time is valuable. Is there, so we appreciate it. If you like what you heard and you want to follow my man Lewis a little bit more, check out the links in the description below. We're going to give you information not just on what he has going on, but some links to some help and some of the assets and resources that he mentioned. Whether you're a parent, you're a mom, you're a dad, you're a student, you're a youth, or anybody just looking to kind of up their game and get to the next level that looks at Mr. Lewis Spears as an inspiration. We're going to have all those links for you guys below. So like I said, thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what you heard, you'll know what to do. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. All right?
Yes, sir.
Peace.